Hey guys, really quickly before the video, I now have a Discord server that is live to the public. I will be posting the link at the top of my description. You can join. We have memes, we have art. It's a fun time, I promise. So if that's something that you sound interested in, please be sure to check it out. And also maybe please like the video and subscribe. Thank you very much. Personally, I am a huge fan of the entertainment dystopia that we are currently living in, where the largest companies with the most money and capability of expanding into new ideas and creating interesting and original media choose instead to simply remake all of the properties they already own, but worse. And now we keep seeing this quest to try and make the original content more interesting, or sometimes trying to correct the now deemed problematic elements of the original. Which doesn't sound too bad in theory, but in practice we have seen it play out only into disaster after disaster. After disaster, after disaster, after disaster. But there is one particular somewhat niche trend I have started to notice that I haven't really seen many people talk about, at least extensively. It is related to the whole Mary Sue trend, or as I prefer to call it, the girl bossification of characters. It's honestly a much more accurate term, and I suggest everybody adopt it. And this is where we see female characters who were originally written as relatively average and achieved their accomplishments through their own actions, being rewritten or retconned in some way to give a sort of explanation behind why they are as capable as they are. And this mostly seems to come in the form of superpowers or some sort of supernatural intervention. I don't want this to be misconstrued as me saying you can't write a female character with superpowers, but whether any character, regardless of gender, has powers or not can drastically affect the journey of that character and why people relate to them. Wonder Woman has always had superpowers. Her journey isn't about an ordinary person facing great odds. Her powers have always been intrinsic to the character. Same with pretty much any superhero, where them being born with or gaining powers has been a crucial element to their characterization from the inception of that character. Contrast this with Mulan, our first major example today. In the original animated movie, she was a completely normal person. She only did what she did in an attempt to save her father, and she had to fight and struggle to learn and grow as a fighter and a person to get herself to the point that she was as capable as she was by the end of the film. That is why so many people love Mulan. Disney clearly either did not understand this or simply pushed this aside in favor of trying to line their pockets with that sweet, sweet cash, because in the absolute shit show that is the Mulan 2020 remake, Mulan is written as having chi energy, and she is portrayed as having this since she is a young child, and she is basically a Jedi super soldier in the movie. And the movie makes it clear that all of her most amazing feats are not the result of her training and learning, but rather the result of this powerful force that she just has a lot of. Do you see how this is bad? Well, we have this well-established character who had a great and believable journey and an arc, and she is looked up to for her courage and determination even against all odds. Let's just not do any of that. It's just so much more insulting in the context of Disney trying to supposedly go more woke and fix the problematic elements by just making everything so much worse.
Shame, 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 shame. Bad vampire.
As far as Disney is concerned, I think the only problematic element of the original Mulan is that it underperformed in the Chinese market. And I do understand that the concept of chi and energy is an important element of Chinese culture and history. But surely there was a way to incorporate more elements of Chinese history and culture that did not completely destroy everything good about the protagonist. From my understanding, it was not an element of the original Ballad of Mulan either, so that's not really an argument that could be made. The wild thing is, it doesn't even always take a remake for Disney to pull a stunt like this. Sometimes it's just a sequel.
They were nobody.
They were filthy junk traders who sold you off for drinking money. You have his power. You're his granddaughter. You are a Palpatine.
I feel nothing but pain. Rey is clearly a little bit of a different type of character than a woman who didn't have superpowers, who was then rewritten with them. But believe it or not, it is a little bit hard to explain all of the nuance and qualifications in a single thesis statement or YouTube title, but she falls under that same kind of idea. Allow me to explain. Now, the discourse surrounding Rey is extremely messy. The Mary Sue argument goes back and forth, it gets overused, it gets used improperly and sometimes in blatantly sexist ways. It is its whole own can of worms, a related can of worms, mind you, but not one we're gonna fully crack into. But even though I do think that Rey's powers were a bit OP, compared to what we have seen previously in the franchise, one very good decision came in making Rey's parents irrelevant, unimportant, not intrinsic to who she was as a person. Even though she was strong in the Force, she was still a nobody. She still had to fight and earn her legacy, and she was set up to find her own path in the universe, and people really liked that about her, and that was a great message that they were sending to their fans. But oh wait, now she's a Palpatine. Or maybe a Skywalker, now with certain revelations in recent comics are to be believed. That is another whole can of painful worms.
What are you doing, step bro?
Maybe we'll get into that another day. My main point, though, is that Rey was powerful in her own right. She didn't have or need the connection to others, and she was a way better character for it. But they changed that to qualify her powers in the context of something else. She was now only powerful due to the Palpatine lineage. Her legacy had to be considered in the context of Palpatine, and now she loses the best element about her in being a relatively normal person who had to find their own way. If the plan to make her a Palpatine from the beginning and properly setting it up and foreshadowing it happened, that would be a different story. But we know the Palpatine revelation was not the original goal for the story, very much was a retcon, and frankly just seemed made to try and appease fans who were pissed the powerful lady was powerful without being related to a previously powerful dude in the franchise, at least in the rushed and backtracky way that they did it in the final product that we got. Even actual women who were real human beings cannot seem to escape this treatment. The Harriet movie does this as well. No, I am not kidding. In the film, she basically receives premonitions and is able to just tell where she needs to go and what she needs to do exactly when it is convenient. And this is explained as being messages from God telling her what to do. Now, to give some context, Harriet Tubman herself believed that she received these messages from God and reported having migraines and flashes of images, things of that nature. So the concept wasn't just pulled out of nowhere. However, it is so played up in the movie that it really does just seem like she has superhuman psychic powers. It is not subtle or implied, it is more used full on as a plot device, rather than a personal experience for the character. And I don't know, I just think that Harriet's actual relationship with her god could be portrayed in a way other than her essentially being the Holy Spirit's avatar in a point-and-click adventure game. Now, you may be thinking, but Spy, sweet summer child Spy. Sure. This might be bad writing and poor characterization. It reeks of corporate interventionalism and betrays the very core of these characters. But that doesn't mean it's being done because of sexism. I mean, it's not like what you're describing panders to an actual misogynistic talking point.
Can we stop with the female hero, the female badasses? Yes. Can we stop with that? Do we all, when is this unwritten agreement where we all have to act like, oh yeah, I'm impressed. Oh yeah, Alias. Oh yeah, I buy that Ronda Rousey would beat 230-pound men. Oh yeah. Like if we say something, we're sexist, or if we act as though we don't want to see these films. It was Atomic Blonde now is the latest one with Charlize Theron. You can see she beats every single man in an unrealistic fashion. And everyone tries to act like, oh yeah, see, women can be badass too. And just look at this, that's just, nowhere in the natural realm does this even occur? Oh, a front kick doesn't send her back. With female badass and superheroes, I get it. Wonder Woman, okay, it's supernatural. You can do anything you want with it. But just like secret agents, the whole kind of female James Bond, the female John Wick thing, it is unbelievable. And that's why you have to suspend the laws of all physics to make it seem like they could win a fight. I feel like there was a meeting that I wasn't there for, where we're all supposed to act as though, in the right circumstance, women can be as tough as men.
Oh. If you have no idea who Crowder is, I envy you. He's basically a massive piece of shit with an unfortunate amount of influence online. Essentially, people listen to what he says. So, addressing the idea of this being done intentionally due to sexism, I don't believe that that's what's happening. I don't think the writers or the corporate execs are purposefully trying to do that. But they are accidentally rewriting women in a way that makes them more appealing to misogynists and less appealing to decent human beings. It's kind of like the stereotypical trope problem. Portraying a person in a stereotypical way related to their group identity isn't bad because nobody who identifies as that group actually does or acts in said stereotypical or tropey way. It's an issue where there is an overrepresentation or a lack of nuance in that stereotype to the point that it reinforces negative ideas about the group as a whole outside of the media. Take the whole trans women attacking cis women trope. People can attack women, and trans women are people, so of course a trans woman can attack a cis woman. But for a long time, that was the only representation that trans women had in media. And this whole idea of trans women attacking cis women in bathrooms spawned pretty much purely from media portrayals. And it has no actual basis in reality. And we see how that idea has had its consequences in society. Rewriting female characters in such a way that it reinforces negative ideas about female capabilities, that is when you have an issue. So never mind, Mr. Crowder, that both male and female action-led movies are riddled with unrealistic fight scenes and a complete disregard for physics. It's bad when a woman does it, because you don't want to give women the idea that they can be capable or just have kick-ass power fantasies. He said it himself. It's only more okay in his eyes when there is some sort of supernatural explanation behind why the women are capable. I saw that Crowder video years ago. I don't remember how or why I found it, but to see such a popular person get such a positive response by basically saying, you females shouldn't get portrayed as badasses unless you live in a fantasy world, then it is acceptable. That kind of pissed me off. And this video was all I could think about when I kept seeing these characters being rewritten with powers or qualifications to the powers completely unnecessarily. Especially Mulan, because the original movie is one of my favorites of all time, and Mulan is one of my favorite fictional characters. And they messed her up so badly that she fits this asshole's idea of what acceptable displays of female badassery in film are. When you write in such a way that it plays to these tropes and ideas, it can be ignorantly irresponsible at best, malicious at worst. I think what we're seeing falls into the category of ignorantly irresponsible. But that's why I think it's important to talk about these things, so that you can point them out when you see them, and you can criticize the ideas and bring attention to the accidental harm that it can cause. Media does not simply pop out of a nebulous void. There are societal contexts and issues that can influence media, and the media can influence perceptions of these ideas in the rest of society. It's not just bad writing. I mean, it's very bad writing, but it's not just that. It's harmful to female representation, and in trying to appear more feminist, they are actively doing the opposite. That's my mini rant topic of the day. The idea had just kind of been churning in my head for a little while, and I decided to make that everybody else's problem. So I do hope you enjoyed, and if you want to see more topics, art challenges, pop culture commentary, character redesigns, apparently I do drama now too. So be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. I love and appreciate all of you, and I hope that you have a great day.